Many people believe that an increase in salary will enable them to fight inflation, but that's just not the case for most people. I'm going to give you the long lasting solution. Welcome to Finish First Financially, a channel dedicated to helping millennials and Gen Z to get out of debt and build savings. I'm Goran Radanovic. I was one of those people who believed that if I just received a raise, I would stop living paycheck to paycheck and that would solve most of my financial problems. And I received several raises, yet I continued living paycheck to paycheck. That's the situation for many people. And the biggest reason is that they're spenders. Every additional amount that they make, they immediately go to that thought, oh, now I've got more money to spend. And that cycle just keeps repeating itself over and over again, regardless of how much money they make. So they're always back at square one, living paycheck to paycheck because their expenses have increased in proportion to the increase in salary. And now inflation comes along and then adds even more money that they need to spend at the end of the month. So if an increase in salary isn't a solution, what is? Prices are going to rise every single year. You've got very little, if any, control over that. But the one thing that you have complete control over is your expenses. Your spending habits are going to actually have a bigger effect on the amount of money you keep at the end of the month than your income. So if you've got complete control over your expenses, what do? Well, the first thing that you can do is look at the expenses that you can reduce and the expenses that you can eliminate altogether. Housing, you need, but if you're renting, you can move in with someone. If you own a house, you can rent a spare room. Transportation, sure, it's nice to have your own car, but what if you sold it and used public transportation? Just for a certain period. Food, you don't need to eat out. You don't need to get takeouts. You can eat at home. And if you're eating at home, well, you don't need to have meat as often as you do. There's other alternatives that will enable you still to survive and to enjoy healthy food. So those are some of the expenses that you can reduce. What about the expenses that you completely can eliminate from your cash flow statement? Subscriptions, not necessary for survival. New clothing, not necessary for survival. A gym membership, you can train at home. So those are all expenses that you can reduce and completely eliminate. And the great thing about this, not only are you going to have more money now at the end of the month and be less affected by inflation, the real benefit of it is that now that you've decreased your expenses and eliminated some of them, you're living on a new level. You've lowered your lifestyle, and throughout time, you become used to it. So now this new level has become your norm. You've conditioned yourself to live on it. And the next time they decide to raise prices and inflation goes out of control, the first thing that you're going to think of is, what expense am I going to reduce? What expense can I live without? That's going to be your go-to thought. And what's even better is that when there is an inflation and you receive a salary increase, you're going to think, oh, great. Now I've got more money to save and I don't need to sacrifice in order to have more money at the end of the month. So the long-lasting solution is to become a saver by decreasing your expenses and eliminating the ones that you don't need. Instead of being frustrated with the government for increasing the interest rates and letting inflation run rampant, or your boss for not giving you a raise, focus on what you've got control over, and that's your expenses. So if you'd like to learn more about reducing your expenses and you want a free consultation, get in touch with me at finishfirstfinancially@gmail.com. The Information will be available in the box below. Let's get you onto the show so that we can put you on the path to financial freedom ASAP.